Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central this Wednesday. We're halfway through the week and we have a lot to unpack on today's program. Quite a lot when it comes to news and discussion. So sit back, grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into today's discussions. I am Benga Borowa. This is Breakfast Central.
Absolutely, it's Breakfast Central here on News Central Television. Well, don't forget that you can join the conversation by tweeting, or better still, X. You know, it sounds quite different when you say
X. Should have kept the name Twitter.
Yeah, like they say tweet us, but this time you can say X us. Kind of like funny in between. But hey, you could drop your comments on X and let us know what you think about the stories as we move along. Don't forget too that you could also watch us live and stream on YouTube. Plus, we are on DSTV, and very soon we'll be telling you more platforms where you can find us. But in the meantime, I am Joe Hansen. Let's start off with our wake-up conversations and say, oh, what a great night it was. Pretty short for some of us, and it was a lengthy one, especially for house owners in Enugu State. Well, the Enugu State Assembly has moved to review the tenancy law in that state. On the screen, there's what you see. The sponsor is Honorable Anthony Okemo, who actually put this through to say, listen, we need to look into the housing situation in Enugu State. Lagos State, I hope you are listening. Please, if you aren't, then you should pay rapt attention. Now, what's this bill all about? Now, the bill is actually to amend the landlord and tenant law of Enugu State, and it aims to do the following. One, to ensure that anyone who wishes to be a land agent or manager must be certified. I cannot help but talk about this issue, especially here in Lagos. Everybody is a what? An agent. They tell you, come, what are you looking for? Which one do you find? You find 2-bedroom flats. Hello. Two bedroom.
Some of these guys are actually agents of darkness, if you ask me. Like
they do what?
They are agents of darkness,
bro.
Like the things they take you, the places they take you to, and they've abused luxury in Nigeria, and ultra luxury. But let's hope the Enugu. I mean, it's one thing to sign a bill into law, it's another thing to enforce it. Remember, we're a free market economy in Nigeria.
But don't forget,
it's a capitalist.
But yes. I think I'm one of those who's advocating that it is the right way to go, Benga. Because once it is signed into law, it now becomes punishable when you offend.
But I mean, landlords will argue that was it the government that built the house for them? And the cost of cement and, you know,
I always have answers to those questions when they raise them, Benga. If you built your house 10 years ago, how is the current dollar exchange rate and naira free fall and all that?
You maintain the house and you're also offering a service.
I'm sure you are a tenant as well, like I am. Funnily, it's the tenant who even end up maintaining the house. The landlord does very bare minimum. I mean, Nigerians can attest to this.
He built the house, it's his investment.
Yeah, he's like, listen, I've done this. Now, listen, we're also passing this to all landlords. We know times are tough, but if you need to even review the rents.
Have a human face, please.
Benga, you're going 400% increase. A rent that was possibly 700.
And we're all in the same economy.
Yeah,
please.
700. You're now saying, it's now 1.8. How did you move from 700 to 1.8? I mean, that's astronomical. Anyway, let's also highlight some other things that.
Or maybe we just everybody in Lagos moves to Enugu.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay. We just hope Lagos, takes a cue from here. But that's the first one. And I like the fact that if you're an agent, if you want to be an agent, you just need to register. And I like that. That's very key. You need to be certified. Not just waking up in the morning and say, Alpha, what can we do? You know what, let's just do agency, you know, and you wear your card, they call you, say you have to pay agency charge, let me show you a house, and you show people a small fish pond. And say it's
mini flats.
Mini flats. Like
ultra modern mini flats.
Number two, that there is a 10% ceiling for both agency and legal fees. And I love this. So the percentage can be negotiated lesser, but never above 10%. What do we have today? Well, in Lagos State, you pay agency agreement, you pay legal fees, and I like what they did at number 3. Enugu is saying that there should be no more caution fee. Come on.
Yeah, because most times people just let it go, or you forget, or the landlord comes up with, you know, there was a bulb here, we can't find it anymore, so therefore you've lost a caution fee and things like that.
Come on. We should do things right. Nigerians, I'm going to borrow the words of some Nigerians who have said, Nigerians, we are our own problem. And that's the truth. Some of these decisions or some of these principles or actions that are being taken by these house owners are not even enshrined in the Constitution or the law. But then again, we see these things take place, and it seems like it's the norm. It now becomes what everybody is used to. So every state starts to adopt it and also implement it. Well, number 4, they say that the defined duration for notices should be stipulated. So you can't just come and say, you need to leave my house in 3 months or next month, and so on. It should be stipulated. And finally, the government, ministry, or agency is given the powers to make further regulations on housing issues in Enugu State. And I can say that we, the citizens who have been dashed or faced these challenges, we approve this.
Okay, great. Shout out to my landlord. I hope you're watching. Now, still on Wake Up Conversations, NDDC boss urges mental health checks for police officers. And I think this is a very important conversation we should have. And it shouldn't just apply to members of the police, it should apply to anyone that is operating a firearm within the borders of Nigeria. The managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Samuel Ogbuku, has called on Nigerians to join hands with the Nigerian police in this fight against crime and other vices. He said he was advocating for mental evaluation for officers and men of the police, and thanked the police force of Nigeria for the sacrifices they are making in securing the country. Before you give, I mean, weapons are not assault rifles, machines of death. It's not a bread knife. So if you're going to commission someone into the Nigerian police and arm them and give them something that could take a human life, it's best you evaluate their mental capacity to handle those weapons, and if they're okay in generality, in totality, not just, you know, the basic training and then you hand them a weapon. It's very important, and it should apply across all services, because we've seen cases of accidental discharge, we've seen cases of people that are not even fit. And he also talked about emotional intelligence, because the way and manner we interface, especially with the police, they're the closest to us as civilians. We interact with them in our daily life. So I like that conversation, and it's something that other, you know, services should take.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Benga. I think the NDDC boss has made a very, very strong comment in terms of recommendation. Whether you like it or not, sometimes we find that some of the police officers might be inebriated. You find out that they are a little bit, you could sometimes, you speak to them, if you have an encounter with either of them, you could smell, you could perceive alcohol, you know, coming out from either of their mouth or so on and so forth. We're not saying that all the police officers are like that, never. We must also give kudos to the police officers who have stood their ground and ensure that they do their jobs diligently. We say, well done to you this morning, and thank you so much for the job you're doing, and keep it up. However, we do also understand that there are some officers who do not take charge of how they carry out their duties. And some of them, just like you have with the commercial drivers in Lagos State who ply the roads, taking people from point A to point B, they must at least have what they call that sachet. You know now. You know what they mean now. They come with different names. There's Shekbe, there's...
all sorts.
What did you call it?
All sorts of stuff.
Okay, you don't know the names?
My journalism doesn't, I'm not specialized in such things.
Okay, fine. I did a report on that some years ago, so I do know some of the names because I had to ask them. So there's Monkey Tail, there's Shekbe, there's Agbujedi, you know, there's so much. But then again, it's noted, and it's also, we know this as part of the police code, that you must not in any way while dispensing or carrying out your duty be found to be intoxicated or take any form of alcohol, because what it does is it reduces your thought process, it affects the way in which you carry out your duty, and so on and so forth. So I agree with him. But the big question for me this morning is, who will do it? Are they going to do it?
Exactly. Who would enforce this?
Yeah.
And it's part of global best practices.
True.
And we should imbibe this practice of mental evaluation.
I agree. Anyway, away from that, let's tell you what's really, really big this morning as you wake up. Well, you remember the Senator Natasha? You remember her, where there was a little fracas between her and the Senate President just a few days ago, better still last week, you recall, where she was told to, just take your seat, don't make noise, you're disturbing. Well, that's not all. She spoke hardly, especially from the fact that her seat was changed in the Senate, the National Assembly. Well, currently, she decided to keep quiet, but she sued the president, Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio. She said, listen, I'm going to sue, and that's exactly what she's done. And that's the latest story. We're going to talk really deeply on this one, because aside from suing, she's also going to face disciplinary committee because she has been told
a whole lot
to go there. Yeah. So it's a lot of conversation. But let's listen to this conversation, and then we'll top it up in a bit.
The integrity and credibility of this institution, no one takes it for granted. Let me also make it clear to members of public that the whole seeming hullabaloo about one of our colleagues, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, being asked to move to another seat, is nothing that has to do with gender, is nothing that has to do with hatred, is nothing that has to do with any form of malice. For the record, let me say again, distinguished Senator Adamu Alero, who had been governor for 8 years, who had been honorable minister, and who is one of the most ranking senators in this Senate today, was asked to move his seat. And he didn't make any issue out of it. We had a reason to change the seat of His Excellency distinguished Senator.
Bigger, do you think this should have been much of a problem? Well, many have said it's just moving your seat. But guess what? Bigger, it's even more than that. Because Senator Natasha is not just suing and asking for, a huge sum. She also went ahead to say that, let me read this out very quickly before we go straight to our top stories. She says that she's also mentioning that a third witness, or better still, one who equally represents the Senate President, went on Facebook.
Oh yes, I saw that.
To write that a declaration. She made this. She said, he said, it is a bottled anger by the Kogi State lawmaker who knows nothing about legislative rules. She thinks being a lawmaker is all about pancaking her face.
That's a very sexist statement.
Pancaking her face and wearing transparent outfits to the chambers. This is why
I think it's a party to the suit, and he would explain better in court.
Yeah, her lawyer said, no. This has gone beyond just moving
exactly.
Seat. And if you're wondering who made this statement, well, it's got to do with Akpabio's senior legislative aide, Mfon Patrick, who actually made this statement on Facebook. We're going to dwell on this in the course of Breakfast Central. So you see, we have a full show for you. Do us a favor, stick around, the conversations will begin. But first, let's bring to you what our top stories would look like this day on Wednesday. Senator Natasha sues Senate President Akpabio, set to face disciplinary committee. We have this story. We're talking incisively about it.
Federal government Interpol agreed to share intelligence information.
Also on Breakfast Central Anambra, we will go straight to that state where outrage as Agunechemba forces allegedly kill. We'll find out.
We'll be looking at insecurity addressing the menace of kidnappers in Nigeria.
And don't forget the front pages of the newspapers. You can join us and ensure you share your thoughts. We'll bring to you breakfast headlines in a moment.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I'm Benga Aburo. We begin the news in West Africa, Nigeria, where the Senate has concluded its public hearing on tax reform bills, paving the way for further legislative action on Nigeria's evolving tax administration framework. The hearing, led by the Senate Committee on Finance, provided a platform for government officials, industry experts, and civil society organizations to make submissions on key aspects of the proposed tax reforms. Senate Committee Chairman Senator Musa emphasized the importance of the tax reforms in improving revenue generation, strengthening fiscal policies, and enhancing economic growth. Among the bills reviewed were the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Fund Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Services Bill, the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, and the Nigerian Tax. The Nigerian senators unanimously voted to refer Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to its Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions for disciplinary review, following last Thursday's seat arrangement dispute with Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The Kogi senator had engaged in a shouting match on February the 20th after discovering that her seat had been changed without her consent. A committee chaired by Senator Neda Imaswen has been given 2 weeks to report back on its findings, but Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has filed a 100 billion lawsuit against Senate President Godswill Akpabio, alleging defamation through his agents, accusing her of indecent dressing to the Senate chambers. The apex social political Yoruba organization Afenifere has named a new leader following the passing of Pa Ayo Adebanjo. He is Oba Oladipo Olaitan. Oba Olaitan will serve in acting capacity until after the burial of the late Pa Ayo Adebanjo, when he will assume leadership office as the substantive leader. The disclosure was made in a communique signed by the organization's Secretary General, Shola Ebiseni, and National Publicity Secretary, Justice Faloye, and issued after the monthly general meeting on Tuesday. The new appointment followed the approval of the recommendations of the National Caucus of the group. Oba Olaitan was called to the Nigerian Bar in 1971, a political advisor to Governor Lateef Jakande, and a member of the Lagos State Executive Council from 1979 to 1983, elected member of House of Representatives and the leader of AD in the House from 1999 to 2003. He has been a member of Afenifere for over 45 years, serving in various capacities, including the National Financial Secretary under the leadership of Chief Ruben Fashionati and the Deputy Leader under Chief Ayo Adebanjo. In the meantime, the Forum of National Youth Leaders of all political parties in Nigeria has called for the immediate release of Eniola Ojajuni, National President of Afenifere Youth, who's reportedly been held by kidnappers. In a statement by its co-chairmen, Eze Onyebuchi Chukwu and Chinaza Ike, on Tuesday, the group expressed concerns over the situation. The forum condemned the abduction, stating that it was deeply disturbed by the distressing video of Ojajuni pleading for help. It urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, SSS boss, the Inspector General of Police, and all Nigerians to take action to secure the release of the youth leader. The group also appealed to all the bandits to spare Ojajuni's life. Senegal in West Africa has reached a historic peace agreement with the movement of the Democratic Forces of Casamance, bringing an end to one of Africa's longest-running conflicts. The deal was brokered by Guinea's President Sissoko Embalo and was announced during a press briefing in Bissau alongside Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. The Casamance conflict, which began in 1982, has claimed thousands of lives and severely disrupted the region's economy and development. This agreement marks a major step towards lasting peace in Senegal's southern region, which is geographically separated from the north by the Gambia. Senegal's Prime Minister conveyed President Bassirou Faye's appreciation to Guinea-Bissau for mediating the high-stakes negotiations which lasted 3 days. In North Africa, Moroccan authorities have fought a series of planned attacks by a 12-member terror cell loyal to Islamic State in the Sahel. The group has been targeting both national and international sites within Morocco. The operation highlights the growing jihadist threat in the Sahel, where IS and al-Qaeda affiliates continue to expand their reach across Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. The suspects, aged 18 to 40, were arrested in 9 cities and are believed to have been taking orders from an Islamic State commander based in Libya. Authorities say the group, known as the Lions of the Caliphate in the Maghreb Al-Aqsa, was radicalized online and have been plotting remote-controlled bomb attacks. The head of Morocco's Central Bureau of Judicial Investigation, Habib Chakouri, confirmed that the group posed an imminent threat.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. The federal government of Nigeria and the International Criminal Police Organization have pledged to work together, particularly in the area of intelligence information sharing. The commitment was made during a training workshop in Abuja aimed at enhancing the capacity of police personnel to effectively tackle transnational crime. Our correspondent Idong Joseph has more in this report.
You can see these are all recovered.
Nigeria's security threats are no longer confined within its borders. Criminal networks now operate across borders, making it difficult for local security agencies to respond effectively. To bridge this gap, the Ministry of Police Affairs, in collaboration with Interpol, commenced this workshop to build the capacity of law enforcement agencies with adequate and effective security tools to help combat crime more effectively.
I am convinced that by adopting methodologies akin to those employed by Interpol, we can significantly mitigate our internal security challenges. In light of the myriad security threats facing our nation today, it is imperative that we embrace international standards to safeguard life, properties, and infrastructure, thereby fostering economic development and stability.
While intelligence sharing remains a major challenge among security agencies, experts say Interpol's intelligence tools can boost coordination and improve crime-fighting efforts.
The Ministry of Police Affairs and Nigerian Police Force are organizing this workshop to sensitize participants on how to coordinate and share crimes intelligence, support investigation to extradite fugitives and wanted for prosecution.
It shows the commitment of the organizers to bring out the best of solutions and tools to better manage our increasingly complex security environment. I believe that at the end of this workshop, the purpose, which is to sensitize participants on Interpol tools in promoting internal security, will have been achieved.
Our partnership with Interpol is a testament to this, allowing us to leverage international resources, expertise, and best practices.
Security experts here say that effective intelligence sharing is key to fighting crime and nipping it in the bud. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. On time to look at one of our top stories. The Nigerian Senate has been embroiled in controversy following its dispute between Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The issue began when Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan refused to switch seats following a routine reassignment, citing concerns over the process. The seat reassignment was said to have been done due to opposition members switching to the majority wing. Natasha's refusal to comply led to a confrontation with Akpabio, which has since escalated into a reported disciplinary actions and defamation lawsuits?
Well, here is what we know about the story. The Senate has referred the matter to its Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions for disciplinary action. Akpoti-Uduaghan is suing Akpabio for alleged defamation, seeking 100 billion naira in general damages and 300 million in litigation costs. Akpabio has been accused of making sexist remarks against Akpoti-Uduaghan, sparking outrage from women's rights groups. Well, joining us today is Ireti Bakare Yusuf, a broadcast journalist and convener of the No More movement, who will be providing insights into the implications of this incident and the ongoing dynamics between Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senate President Akpabio. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. I'm very sure that you've been following this story. And first off, what's your take when you did see the remark made by Senator Natasha, especially at the floor, trying to speak against her change of seat and how she was indeed spoken back to, especially by members of the National Assembly and the Senate President? Do you think it was something that could have been, simply handled it differently?
Okay, firstly, I need to correct you. So, founder of Purple Women Foundation, that is me. Great. Now, also, you said something that was written on the page that you showed before this. The suit is not it's not because she hasn't mentioned what happened in this chamber. So you have to be clear. And the suit is not just Akpabio, it's also his aide, whose name I don't remember right now, because in your list just now, you only wrote Akpabio and Uduaghan. It's actually Akpabio and his aide.
That's so Patrick.
When I saw...
Yes.
Pardon?
Patrick.
So when I saw when the video came out, I think it was last Thursday, my immediate response was, good for you. Good for you for standing up for yourself. Because not only as Senator Natasha Akpoti, not only has she been bullied in Kogi State up until she became senator, also, according to her, she's been bullied whilst she's been at the House. In addition to that, we have seen Senator Ireti Kingibe, my namesake. We've also seen her bullied and shut down. And it was Senator Natasha who stood up for her. So my immediate response was, she's clearly had enough. And we must remember that. We must remember that whilst it's okay, yes, whilst it is also true that there must be order in the House, order begins from the leadership, right? Discipline begins from the leadership. The leadership is supposed to act in accordance to the rules, thereby others following his leadership. Well, we have a leader at the Senate, the third citizen, who clearly has not been acting to order. Just this week, I saw, and I can't remember the name, there was another lawmaker who stood up and actually said to him, you are voted like the rest, you are voted in like the rest of us. You can't keep doing this. Enough is enough. And clearly that's how Senator Akpoti also felt. Enough is enough. I refuse to be bullied by you any longer. Now let's go back to this seat thing, because a lot of Akpabio's support and also some neutral people are saying, well, look, they have the right, they can change the seat, etc. That is true. That is fine. But just because we have the right doesn't mean we don't do things properly. Doesn't mean we don't do things with respect and dignity to the other person. Okay? Senator Natasha Akpoti was voted into that seat, just like everybody else there, just like the Senate President. So really, even if because he did explain, he said, because of of the Labour Party who shifted to APC, Labour Party Senate who shifted to APC. That's why they had to rejig all the seats. That's okay. But surely, I'm sure there's something in that rule book, and if there isn't, it should be there, that you can actually send a text message or an email to inform those whose seats are going to be changed, that their seats will be changed at the next plenary, that they are to sit on seat number whatever it is, right? Senator Akpoti clearly was not informed. Yes, he doesn't have to inform her, because we've had the misogynists, yes, I will say that. We've had the misogynists and the poor Akpabio lobby who have been saying he doesn't have to inform her. Well, there's also responsibility, right?
Okay.
Do they not have the decency to actually write to her and inform her in advance? But secondly is the fact that what she did was to speak up and object to, because it wasn't Akpabio who asked for her to be moved. There was another senator who raised the order about her being moved. And she stood up to speak, and then she was shut down. That is wrong.
Now,
he should have listened.
No, madam.
Akpabio should have let her finish her words and then continued.
Now, Senator Yemi Adaramodu called Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's reaction, and I quote, as extreme intransigence. Another senator said, you know, we have former governors here. A former governor, a former two-time governor, a former minister was also moved. His seat was moved, and he didn't make a fuss about it. Do you think that's a fair criticism and assessment? And do you think Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is being unfairly targeted?
The first question I will ask is, that former governor, has he been meted the same treatment that Senator Natasha has actually been enduring? Enduring is the word, right? The same treatment she's been enduring and tolerating since she became a senator, since she's been at the chambers. Has he? I doubt it. So everything must be treated in this case within its own sphere. Here's the thing. Senator Natasha Akpoti is a woman, right? She is a woman who has endured the most unreasonable, the most disgusting form of bullying since her time in politics. And then she finally, remember, this woman, the road to her constituency was dug up by Yahaya Bello to ensure she didn't get there. I do not see all these parrots of Akpabio standing up. Adamolepo, what did you call him? Adaramodu?
Yes.
I do not see him raising a point of order or raising this as an issue at the House, that lawmakers, politicians should not be treated in such a way. No, he didn't. They all kept stum, as they often do, because when it's a woman, it is okay. Now, back to your question. I don't think it is fair to say, oh, she overreacted. When things land on her, I keep saying, and I've said this to many people, a woman, especially most women, and you can ask all the women you know, most women, especially in a professional place, will keep quiet, will keep tolerating, because we don't want to be seen as a troublemaker. We don't want to be seen as making a mountain out of a molehill. We don't want to be seen as a constant complainer, a moaner, okay? We don't. So we will keep tolerating certain behaviors which are egregious to us. We will keep tolerating those until one day there's a last straw. And clearly there has been many straws, but last Thursday was a straw that broke the camel's back. And yes, quite frankly, I'm with her, because we're all human. Akpabio would not tolerate to be treated like that. Heck, he probably wouldn't tolerate for his wife to be treated like that. Heck, he probably wouldn't tolerate for his sister or his daughter to be treated like that. So why is it okay? Why is it that people, and most of these Akpabio parrots, who actually know hardly anything, but position themselves as experts all of a sudden on legislative matters, hiding behind the experts on legislative matters to be misogynistic and to actually advocate for misogyny, they all need to apply it to the woman that is closest to them and to all the women in their family. Yes, she may have overreacted, but none of us have actually had to endure what she's had to go through. It is a fact that often there is more that happens to a woman than a woman can speak. Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, patriarchy is not a gendered word. But like Madeleine Albright said, there's a special place in hell for women who do not support other women. There are lots of women who will be making their way there, in my opinion.
Okay, but many have also said that the Senate President holds a lot of powers, just as it's written under the 1999 Constitution. And one of such powers is that he oversees the discipline of the Senate, and part of which happens to be that he's able to enforce compliance, especially in the House. And many have said that the Senate President was simply trying to ensure that there was compliance when he told her to, take it easy, relax, and they can address something else later on. They could possibly come back and discuss that. And also, like Benga also mentioned, her seat was not the only seat that was moved. So I would like us to get it straight. Her reaction, as we've seen in the suit, is it as a fact of the change of seats, or is it as a fact of of what was said on Facebook by the Senate President's aide? Which one of these everybody seems to ask, so that it can be clear where we stand with her approach to actually engage in a suit?
Okay, good question. First and foremost, you said the Senate President was trying. Well, he clearly doesn't try hard enough. Because like I said, she's not the only woman it's happened to. Also, she's not the only opposition party member that it has happened to. We must remember that, right? Okay, our Senate is supposed to be a representation of the votes in the country. So opposition members also need to be afforded the same respect as APC members. It is not called the APC Senate Chambers. It is the Nigerian National Assembly. That's number one. Number two, and the Senate President should actually wake up every morning and recite that to himself. I am making my way to work. I work at the Nigerian National Assembly. I do not work at the APC National Assembly. That's number one. Number two is the Facebook post came after, from what I understand. I'm not even on Facebook. It didn't come before. So let's not get things mixed up, because this is also another thing that Akpabio's parrots, and of course some donkeys, are actually trying to do. They're trying to muddy the waters. She is suing for what was said about her on Facebook, right? After, not before. The issue at the chambers is not mentioned in her suit, from what I have seen. So we must separate both of them. Now, of course, she will likely be suspended. That's okay, right? And whatever comes with the suspension, that's okay, all right? But respect begets respect, right? Okay. And the chamber, the man who is said to be the third, the man who sits on that chair that belongs to the third citizen, will do well to actually go back and train himself with some respect so that he can apply it to his colleagues. Akpabio is not a teacher, okay? Akpabio is not God, right? He is first amongst equals, that's all. That is all.
Like you said,
he mustn't continue to behave like he is God. He isn't. And he cannot continue to speak down, to diminish, to belittle his colleagues, because that is what they are. They are his colleagues.
Yes, madam, like you rightly said, he's first among equals. He was voted in like the remaining 108 senators. Now, back to this Facebook page. Let's get into this Facebook post, I beg your pardon. Let's get into the details. Senator Akpabio's aide, Unformed Patrick, posted on Facebook that Akpoti-Uduaghan, senator, thinks being a lawmaker is about pancaking her face and wearing transparent outfits. That's a pretty damn sexist and misogynist remark, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. How damaging is this kind of language for women in politics? And if we flip the script for a bit, and if a male senator had reacted in the same way to the change of seats, would this have been such a big deal?
Benga, thank you so very much for reading it out. You know, you ask an important question. If it had been a male, would that have been said? No, it wouldn't have been said. Just listen to what was said. Pancaking her face and wearing see-through clothes. Okay, before I came on TV today, I am a journalist. I go on TV. I used to be at your station, right? It is women wear makeup. I put on some lipstick and I tidied up my hair and I wore the glasses that I wanted to wear. Does that diminish what I'm going to say? Does that make my narratives, my intelligence, my knowledge any less worthy? That's number one. Number two, he alleges that she's wearing see-through clothes. First and foremost, if she were, she wouldn't be allowed into the chambers because there are rules for how you dress into the chambers. If she were going out nightclubbing and she chose to wear see-through clothes, tough, it's her body. If she wants everybody to see it, it's hers to show off. But however, what we do know is Senator Natasha Akpoti is fully covered. She's absolutely fully covered. I didn't even know her religion, right? Till I start, I'm always wondering, wow, she really covers her head. From top to toe, she covers her whole body. Yet, they still had to sink low to claim what is clearly not true. It is sexist, it is misogynistic, it is reductive. You see, you said something, you said many people will condemn that. Actually, not necessarily. There are many who won't. Because again, as I keep repeating in Nigeria, we have a lot, far too many male misogynists, and we have female patriarchal princesses, a lot of whom belonging to where Madeleine Albright said, a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. Now, shouldn't even have come to that. There are many things they could have criticized her on. There are many things he could have written. Heck, he could have even written and told lies about what happened. She wouldn't have been able to sue him. But to write such egregious and disrespectful, oh my word, it was shocking to me. And it wouldn't have happened to a man. Let's remember, I think there are only 3 senators, 2 of whom have actually had issues with the Senate President. Natasha Akpoti was the one who stood up to speak and support Senator Ireti when she was being bullied, right? So in a chamber and in our politics, where I think there are 8 women in total, I can't remember. There are 8 female deputy governors. There are no female governors. I mean, the whole thing is absurd. And we keep doing every year. We'll hear this whole thing about, oh, we want women in politics. We want women in politics. It's mere lip service.
Okay.
They do not want women in politics, because when they get women in politics, they want to bully them. I once said one of the reasons you don't have a lot of women going into politics in Nigeria is because these meetings are held in the middle of the night. Political meetings are held late. Most women do not want to be a part of that.
All right.
So no, it wasn't have said if it was a man. It was said to rubbish her, to actually diminish her. It was said to reduce her to just pancake and see-through clothes. And well, I'm proud of her for suing. Now, the suit may not get very far, but it doesn't matter. The symbol of it is very important. Well, sometimes we have to take certain steps in order to send a strong message. I am in solidarity. I stand with Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. I stand with her, as Adesua Giwa-Osage said, with my full chest. I stand with her 100%.
Oh, anyway.
And I wish her the very best.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Just like it happened in June 2023, if I recall, better still, where the Senate President had apologized on making a statement to Senator Natasha concerning the nightclub in codes. Let's see if he's also going to make the same statement again, apologizing to her. Thank you so much, broadcast journalist Mirusi Bakari Yusuf, for joining us.
Since that nightclub incident, right, things have gotten worse for her. Look, I want people to go and do their research and hear her. You must always listen to women. I'm not saying we are right all the time. Yes, it's even a good argument. You could say she overreacted. But what led to this point? What led? You cannot continue to push somebody to the wall and not expect them to respond. She responded this time because, like I said, too many straws that have been allowed to go. This was the last one. It was not going to happen again. And if there's one thing that I'm sure of, when she does return, whatever seat they put her into, if they like, they should put her to the back. And when nobody will see her, none of them will try that with her again. Because sometimes one has to send a very strong message to these people.
All right, thank you very much. We have to go now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. All right, let's move on now and tell you that the community of Owerri Ezukala in Orumba South local government area of Anambra State has been thrown into mourning and anger following the alleged extrajudicial killing of 3 people reported to be innocent workers by the Agunechemba Security Outfit government-backed security squad. The slain victims identified as Malachi Chimaobi Iwayawu and Odinkalu Chinonso from Umweze 1, Ehime Mbano, Imo State, and Kosiso Chukwu from Isiofia Governor Chukwuma Soludo's hometown were reportedly on site for a church building project when they were gunned down. The security operatives allegedly labeled them as unknown gunmen, a term commonly used for criminals and insurgents in the region. Well, news correspondent our special correspondent on investigative journalism, who's currently on ground on an assessment exercise of the security situation in the state, met up with the bereaved families of especially one of the victims and would like to bring this story to the light. Let's take a look.
This online video shows the body of Malachi Chimaobi Iwayawu, Odinkalu Chinonso, and Kosiso Chukwu Okoye lying dead after being allegedly shot by men of the Agunechemba Security Squad on the 6th of February 2025. The victims were handymen working on a church building project at Owerri Ezukala, Orumba South local government area of Anambra State, when they were reportedly extrajudiciously killed and labeled as unknown gunmen. Community members who knew these men and the work they were doing at the community described the workers as innocent.
This is the compound of late Marcel Okoye,
whose son was one of the 3 men who were allegedly gunned down by men of the Agunechemba Security Forces at Orumba North local government area of Anambra State.
We're here to follow up on that incident. Their bodies were left littered on the road at where they were gunned down, and you had members of the public who were outraged by the killing of these men.
On the fateful day, February 6th, 2025, I went to a program with my mother. While coming back in the evening around 6 o'clock, I heard the news that my brother was killed by Udogache stroke Agunechemba group at Owele Zukala, where he went to work. So I said that is not possible, it's not true. So around 6:30 to 7, I confirmed that my brother was killed. That is true when I saw the picture where he was murdered. The video went viral when they killed my brother and they went ahead to the Aguata Secretariat, I mean my local government, Aguata Secretariat. They were jubilating, they killed unknown gunmen, every other thing. So as I'm watching the video, I saw the material where my brother was using to walk. Where they were jubilating like something like a cylinder, generator, and this wedding machine they were using. And I saw those men, they were jubilating, and I was asking, who are those people? And they were confirmed that they are Udogache and the Agunechemba joint force.
Daniel, a blogger and a member of the community, laments the activities of the security force put together by the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, meant to augment the capacity and services of the Nigerian police in the state in the fight against crime.
The question I keep asking myself is what is exactly going on in Anambra State in particular right now? Like, I'm very, very angry about what is really going on in the state. You get this insecurity we have in Anambra State. I keep asking myself, when is it going to end? Like, I don't just understand why our governor, Soludo, will create security apparatus where we say they're supposed to save us now and then they take our life. Now that one, they shock me. You cannot tell me that they will arrest you. The next thing they will ask you is for bail. They ask governor himself, did the governor give them right to arrest people and collect bail from them? And the bail money is not a small money. These guys are inside church, Catholic church at Owele Zikala. Working. Not that the guy is a Yahoo boy. Not that the boy is into kidnapping. You just go, you kill, and you still not even think about how the family will be feeling about it. Tiling work, ties. They were laying ties in the church where they went to. And the other ones, we are doing stainless rail. The guy in particular, we are doing stainless But other people were into tiling. And they take out their lives. And the governor is not doing anything about it. His own town, his own hometown.
In recent times, there have been escalating reports making the rounds on social media, stressing how these new security forces operate, intimidating, harassing, and extorting the citizens of the state. It is expected that the governor of the state will move to caution his men with hopes of getting them back in line to carry out the job according to the description and purposes for which they were originally constituted. For News Central, Marshal Anthony Onoya.
Our investigative journalist there, Marshal Noya, who's doing a great job there. Our hearts really goes out to the families of the dead, the late Malachi Chimaobi, also Iwaya, we're not forgetting Odinkalu Chinonso. Very, very chaotic situation there. And I like the fact that the report also covers a cross-section of citizens, and not forgetting indigents of Anambra State, calling on the governor to speak out at least. So the question from us this morning is to the governor of Anambra State. Governor, will you speak out as we continue to talk about this? Benga, I don't know what your take simply is.
I mean, it's extrajudicial execution, and you've seen that there's evidence that these guys were working on the site. I mean, mistakes happen. If you've made a mistake, come out and own up to it. Imagine what the family of the bereaved are going through, the heartache, and it's just very, very terrible. And if something is not done about this private security outfits that are they're not part of the Nigerian police force, it would embolden them, and they might also it might lead to more extrajudicial killings, and they might just feel, you know, they have impunity to do whatever they want to do.
I agree with you, because what we're seeing here is what many would say it's a gunpowder that very soon could turn out to be used against the indigents of the state.
Yeah,
and most importantly,
they operate like a private militia.
Yes, absolutely. So if you we all remember what happened to the M23 rebel forces. Okay,
yes, that's how it started.
Remember how it all started? Okay, fine, you do this, and all of a sudden, it always leads to often leads to splinter groups, and then requests are being made since we've gained so much success rates in terms of curbing insecurity. And we do understand that there's insecurity in the land. Nigeria, as it is still battling with its own internal insecurity challenges. However, taking the lives of innocent persons who are working, where does the law come in? Where they say you must be proven, it has to be proven guilty.
Exactly. Why didn't you arrest them or take them for trial? Did they have weapons on them? Why do you engage
the only
with
weapons
little
we saw there in the video are the tools they use to work. This is heart-wrenching.
Justice does need to be served for many reasons in that case in Anambra State, and it's interesting that it's happened in the governor's hometown. The more reason why he needs to address this situation as soon as possible, because if it doesn't, it breeds a culture of impunity. These guys will think, you know, we're above the law, we can do anything we want to, and then they start going after their perceived enemies and start taking things personal, because all they said was unknown gunmen. Unknown gunmen is not a carte blanche for you to take somebody's life and, you know, just do anything as long as you could label them unknown gunmen. Where's the evidence? These are questions that I beg for answers.
This is a very sad situation. We'd like you to drop a comment or two on what you think about this story. As we speak currently, the governor of Anambra State has not spoken yet. In that special package, the governor has not even put out a press release. We do understand that the aim is to curb insecurity in Anambra State, which of recent has proven to be very insecure. And while putting the Agunechemba in place, you also need to ensure that there must be checks and balances to
rules
ensure
of engagement.
Exactly. Who do they report to? How are they able to? I mean, these are paramilitary forces. How do they work with the police, the security operatives that are indeed put in place as well? How do they ensure that there's a synergy? And now that you have extrajudicial killings, who takes this up in court? The families, as you saw them, they look like their hands are tied to the back. They have nothing to actually fight for, used to fight for the lives of their sons or those whose lives have been taken. So it's really sad and pathetic when you wake up on a Wednesday morning and then you are talking about stories like this, not just from our own end. You start to imagine what the family is really thinking about just sitting at home. This is someone who you saw. Nigerians were the same people who say, we need to work hard.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
they went about their legitimate duties.
Legitimate.
They're not lazy Nigerian youths.
Okay, fine, Benga. Even if you caught him, even if they said, yes, this is somebody who engaged in cybercrime, why don't you prove it first?
Yeah, and there was no crossfire. It's not like they opened fire and they shot in defense. These people were just going about their duties, and then even if, for the sake of argument, they were unknown gunmen, you don't just open fire on armless people and kill them. There should be rules of engagement, and we really need to follow up on this case. And good job Marshall is doing to get to the end of this, and it has to get to the governor's table.
Absolutely, and we do hope that the governor is indeed aware. We are certain that he is aware, because we do hear that there have been petitions flying up and down. Unfortunately, as also put, the families of the deceased, some of them who also spoke in that interview, may not have a higher hand. By higher hand, we mean they may not have somebody in power who they can actually run to, and this person would push the motion to the governor, or better still to the State House of Assembly, to speak deeply on this crisis, because it's going to be a menace. It's going to be a danger to the society if you have a security outfit which has been approved and set up to curb insecurity, which indeed ends up not just curbing insecurity, but taking the lives of the people in whom they are supposed to secure. So it's not balanced at all. It's something that we need to really look into. But then again, This has made our very first hour this morning here on Breakfast Central. In case you missed out, let's bring you a recap of some of the major stories.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's time for us to find out what big stories are making headlines in today's dailies in Nigeria. Join us is Public Affairs Analyst Sheson Okwade. One welcome to you, Sheson, and thanks for joining us at Breakfast Central. Good to have you.
Good morning to our viewers across the globe.
Now let's start off with the Punch newspaper. The headline says, why INEC vote count can't be accurate. Former President Goodluck Jonathan said that. Ex-president decries ghost of voters. Regional influences at 6 electoral reforms. And on the front page of the Punch newspapers, tax reform, Senate plans review as customs ASU false provisions. Afenifere backs Kalu, says Abiola president, declaring Abiola president should have happened a long time ago. It's longer overdue. And Southwest governors move against Wike's camp over PDP Congress crisis. It's still shocking to some that the FCT minister is still a card-carrying member of the People's Democratic Party. Obasa awaiting ruling before returning to State House of Assembly. I mean, he's been absent for quite some time now. I wonder what the standing house rules are for the number of days you can be absent for. And also on the front page of the Punch, Senate backs Akpabio as Natasha files 100.3 billion naira defamation suit. And APC dismisses anti-Ganduje plot as El-Rufai's absent from NEC meeting. Okay, that's the front page of the Punch newspaper. But I'd like to start, let's look at the major headline there. Why INEC votes can't count and be accurate, says former President Goodluck Jonathan. I thought beavers was the silver lining that would prevent all sorts of electoral fraud from happening. Why do you think President Jonathan made the statement? And is beavers not the silver lining?
Thank you very much, Benga. I'm sure Mr. President, our former president, is talking from a place of an informed person who has ruled us as a nation, and considering some of the antics that these politicians play, even when you have the right tool, you have the right mechanism of actually carrying out things that can make the electoral process seamless. Beavers, ordinarily, using that technology should be the game changer. But I'm sure you have some of the underlying factors that will not allow that to work. What is the state of our infrastructure, if you ask me? We've seen several instances where the high and mighty refuse to be captured by beavers and almost denying them, access to election in their locality, because possibly the beavers is not working, there is no network coverage. And that's why a lot of us will say it's good to have plans, to have all these policy in place. Do we have the infrastructure to back them up? It speaks of the gap. So when such thing happens, it's provided for in the Electoral Act to resort to manual voting. And in the process, you and I understand what can actually happen, which is one of the things Mr. Former President highlighted out, influences based on what people in that area, the politician in that area stand to gain, monetizing some of those things, snatching boxes and all the like. So when you can't have the beavers working because of the lack of infrastructure to enable that act, you resort to manual, and when you get to the manual, it's susceptible to some of these manipulations we're seeing. So I think first thing first, can we improve the architecture, the infrastructure of things that will enhance this quality delivery? We are not just doing that only for election process. It will enhance our economy, because a lot of rural areas where you should have some of these availability of this infrastructure in times of telcos are really not up They are not available. The telcos are complaining all the time of how they struggle to sustain their operational cost because they are so. What they do is that they look at the low area where they are not getting the funds and move to the other area where they feel that they can have enough patronage, which deprive those people in that area of those things. So I feel that it's just improving on infrastructure that we are seized to make this happen. You can have the right technology. If you don't have the right infrastructure to back it up, the gap will be there and it's susceptible to manipulation in the hands of the politician that actually have something to gain in the election process.
Yeah. There's another story here. The Obasa awaiting ruling before returning to assembly. We do know that he has taken the Speaker and the House of Assembly to court, saying he was illegally removed. What do you make of all of this? We thought it was a clear-cut case because the majority of the members of the State House of Assembly voted to remove him from office. And since he returned, it's been blowing very hot. We also saw the drama with the DSS coming into the hallowed chambers of the State House of Assembly last week. What does this tell us about the character of Obasa as a fighter? He seems not to have given up and is awaiting a Jerusalem-like triumphant re-entry into Alausa because he can't believe it. He's occupied a seat for almost 10 years, and then who are these people to remove me? Because that's what it seems like. Yeah, he can't come back as ordinary member.
Yeah, well, I'm not blaming Obasa. He's actually catching up on the lapses that we have in the system. If you look at the process that actually removed him, it's constitutional, it's legal, and everybody has actually looked at it. But it's good that you test the water, and this is where we call the judiciary arm of the government. You see, you know the slogan during the last election, go to court. So that's what Obasa is. A politician will always exhibit, even when you know outrightly you failed. And I love such thing to happen, so that when you go to court, we test what the judiciary can actually bring, because we call that at the hope of the last common man. So we see what they will bring to bear, whether this declaration by the judge will put clearer issue and Obasa will know the name. So that will start as precedent.
Yes.
Yeah, for other people. So it's good to test such things. And I appreciate the fact that he's saying, well, let me await the court injunction or the court declaration before I return back, because anything can happen. We've seen a lot of things coming up, and people will ask and say, is that the right thing to do? And you hear the judge coming up to tell you that on technical ground, which you and I may not be able to speak to, that it is not about emotion, it's about the law and what is presented before the judge. Even when the judge can see clearly that this is wrong, if there is nothing to substantiate it, he's going to act on what he has before him. And I think that's what he's actually relying on. And let's test the judiciary and to see what becomes of it.
All right, let's go to the Vanguard very quickly and see what the Vanguard has to say. On the front pages there, front page of Vanguard: insecurity, our lack of surveillance tech, AIDS, criminals and terrorists. Nigeria's $490 million failed CCTV project, fueling insecurity in FCT and others. Did you see that figure of $490 million?
Astronomical.
I'm sure, I think you were here, Shesoko, when we discussed this, the installation of the new cameras. I remember this, and yet, anyway.
That's a huge amount.
Plot against Murtala Mohammed started from day one, according to IBB, but let's leave that. I'd like us to focus on this particular one, because Nigerians are excited. Not all Nigerians, please, let me state it there. A group or a set. US excludes UK, Nigeria and others from visa-free entry for 2025. So Nigerians are saying, after all, it's not just us.
Exactly.
The UK is also involved. The almighty
UK.
The almighty Kenny, like Bednock and the likes. Anyway, what's your take on that?
Yeah, well, in my dialect, they will say when you have failed, you look at your counterpart to go along with you.
He just goes back to secondary school. You know, the teacher gives you the results. I go,
No,
2 over 10. What did you get? I got 1.
That's the way it is. When you look at Philo, you look around you. Who are the people? If they are picked a lesser country than Nigeria, those ones too will be celebrating on their part to say, at least we are not in India alone. Nigeria, the almighty of Africa, is there. So Nigeria has every cause to say, it's not us alone. At least UK is there. So but the issue there is we must look beyond now. I've always been an advocate to say this issue of we looking at what US and all other developed countries are saying about our citizens, we should look inward. What can we do? Why is everybody rushing to that particular country? What can we do to dominate? Have you heard, if you see the Asian country moving to this country we're talking about, is to actually carry out maybe business that will develop their area. They export knowledge. And they get some of those funds to develop their place. That's how China grew. But here, we go there and we stay there and we are not ready to
even when they go study, when the government sends them, it's a brain gain.
Yeah.
They come back and use their expertise.
But here, it's not. When even government sends you there, you just relocate finally, and you'll be speaking ills of the country that actually funded your growing into that country that is actually not there.
Like a certain Kemi in England.
Well, I don't want to mention names.
Anyway, let's take a look at Ghana's story very quickly. Let's talk about the so-called challenges that the customs have raised. Customs raises concern over tax reform bills. It's like we're circling back to the tax reform bills again. Everybody starts to review all over again. It's like we're starting all over again. Bottom line, what's your take on that? Do you think it's about time that these tax reform bills be passed and then let's just move on?
Yeah, currently is going under review at the National Assembly, and we expect this to happen. A lot of people are putting their position in place to protect their territory in order, because as soon as it's passed into law, it becomes binding and you may not be able to. But let it be on record that we actually said this so that when it starts impacting, maybe negatively, vis-a-vis what you proposed as a person, you should be able to say, we have this on record that were presented. So a lot of people, not only custom, a lot of people are actually either giving their backing, why it should be speed up for them to assent to that and allow it to be law. And some are saying you need to look in this area. So it's a public hearing. Public hearing kind of where everybody needs to give their input into whatever that is happening. But before I go, I think I want to pick up on the main headline of this Vanguard to speak to why this insecurity.
Our lack of surveillance tech aids criminals and terrorists.
We should use AI.
And you see, it is not even the technology that's my concern. Benga screamed when he heard the value therein. Are the people that carry out this thing, are they angels or monster or ghost?
They're alive.
The problem there is, I will link it with what happened during the book launch. This country, I don't know when things will change, because we are encouraging the younger generation not to go devalue a lot of the people perpetrating this thing learn. We've dropped that. So people that carry out these activities that are supposed to be the game changer, we are all saying use AI. Somebody will propose that to the government. We will fund it, and it will not see the light of the day. And the person will still use some of those funds to oppress people on the road. I asked somebody to, like, in a saner crime, we also are leaders. Let's admit that they don't even have a foreknowledge of what the books of IBB was all about, and they were all there. We've seen days after the launch of this book with so much billions, invested in this.
16, 17 billion.
And the lives of people that got truncated. I saw one of our journalists, lamenting of what the trauma the father, during those military area, and somebody is coming out to say, he regretted the act. I have not seen an iota of apology from what he said. He regretted as a person, but he reserved no apology. Do you know the number of people I trekked from on Third Mainland Bridge during June 12 down to mainland? And I know a lot of people that in the process, they wrecked Abiola family. And today, we are not saying anything on what should be done. These are facts. It's recorded.
No restitution.
And that's why we keep saying that because there is no proper consequential management in the country, this will continue. So imagine a young boy of 10 years old, because they read dailies more than we do these days, possibly some of the things they do, and he's saying that somebody actually carried out a project of that magnitude.
$490 million.
Dollars, not naira. Carry out that kind of project in that magnitude. The project did not see the light of the day, and we are not coming out to say these are the people behind this that should be punished. No, what you are telling the guy is that, oh boy, as you are growing, you better find your bearing, the path to go. And I think this is
you write a book and they will still celebrate you at the end
by
of the
the
day.
time you carry out that, you go on, write a book, and because everybody is writing a book now. Whether the book actually, you know, is of value to the people, we don't.
Are you writing yours anytime soon?
Definitely, people are writing that.
Okay,
they are doing it on the behalf. So all they need to do is just to invite me and say, we've actually put up this book on your behalf. Then I will invite you people to come. Then we do the launching. At least if we can have a target of 25 billion, it's very much. But you see, truth be told, that we are losing our values and we are not passing the right information to the younger generation.
And talking about values, that brings me to this headline that it's in the front page of the Vanguard. I've never discussed running for president in 2031 with anyone, and they say there's no smoke without a fire. Gambarayan, the executive at Binance, did allege that, you know, Ribadu told him he wanted billions for his 2031 ambition. And we've also seen the former FCT minister and Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai talk about this ambition. The NSA, National Security Advisor, holds a very sensitive position in Nigeria's security architecture. He should be concentrating on national security issues, which we're still dealing with, Boko Haram, banditry, and all of that. How important is this statement that I've never discussed? Do you think we deserve a press conference from the NSA to come out and say, look, I have serious work to do. This is not my ambition, and I'm focused on my work? Because all these sorts of things will keep coming in.
I mean, just to add quickly, I mean, I know the NSA has come out to speak. He did put out a tweet and say that he's focused on his job, that that's not what he's coming to do, and so on. But I also get your point. I just wanted to add to that in line with what has been said. Do you think the APC is also, in addition to answering Benga's comments in your analysis, do you think the APC is also starting to crack internally, even though they had a meeting yesterday where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know, led that meeting?
You see, in response to what you're saying, Benga, it's quite interesting if we started talking about 2031, when 2027 is not actualized, is to tell you how far our politicians move faster than we, the citizen. We are still battling with poverty, struggling with electricity, with roads, economic development, and we're already looking at that. What we're saying is that 2027 is already a done deal. Let's look at the next 4 years. And sincerely speaking, that's the way a politician thinks. But we should ask ourselves, the NSA coming to say this, we saw what played out with Emefiele. So there is a precedent. This is not a court where we are, but there's a precedent. He came up to tell us that he's facing his work, he's not doing anything. But we saw the mirage of vehicles, you know, branded in preparation for the campaign.
While he was still in office.
So a lot of things happen in the country. And, but well, fine, he's actually being prosecuted for other things, but I don't think they look in that direction to say that you did this while you're in office. So you have the politicians, they understand themselves. And you know, my focus that will continue to emphasize all the time is that we are rewriting the story of this country by taking away value that is expected to build and shape on us. And in no distance time, the lawlessness that we see pervades. I will ask, while we are growing up, you see the level at which people queue to enter the vehicle. You see, this day, a law enforcement agency takes pride in sitting in front of a vehicle and asking the driver to follow one way. How do you manage that? Somebody that is out there to actually enforce the law is the one breaking the law and is proud to do that. And a fellow person we see, if he looks at the restaurant, possibly give a salute and allowed to go. When you should, on that particular level, punish that act. To say, no, that is not the way to go. So I want to speak to that, well, the day we actually pulled out moral instruction, I'm sure a lot of us had that while we were growing up in primary school. I said it to myself that we've lost that particular thing. Social studies, where they teach you some of the values, some of the core things you should know about the nation. What are we learning now? Misappropriation of funds without any punishment.
What about the home? These kids still come home. Are the parents too busy trying to make ends meet?
The parents, the kids comes home, but how many hours do they spend with the parents? A lot of these ideas are formed in the school. Discussion now goes on in the school among the children of, ask an average young boy or lady what you want to become. He's a politician. Those days while we were growing up here, I want to become a lawyer, I want to become a doctor, an accountant.
Now I want to be content creator. Like Jarvis.
Like I always say, content creator may not be bad.
But get the foundations right.
Yeah, but then again, the major issue now is the precedent that we're setting.
Which is not right. We must correct that narration in the public domain. Let's read in the papers where we'll see people being punished for wrongdoing. And that will send signal. This is how we started this level of insecurity that got us to where we are today. And I believe Nigeria will be great if indeed we the followers choose to do what is right and our leaders are sincere with themselves, not even with us, with themselves, to allow their conscience speaks to them.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Sokwade, for joining us here on the front pages. And thank you so much for your analysis.
When a country loses its doctors, when the very people trained to save lives can't survive here themselves. We don't have to imagine it. It's happening right now. Nigeria is bleeding doctors. They are leaving in droves, and the consequences are catastrophic. Let's talk facts, because numbers don't lie. And in this situation, they tell a terrifying story. The World Health Organization recommends 1 doctor for every 600 patients. In Nigeria, we have just 1 doctor for every 10,000 people. 1 doctor responsible for an entire small town. In just 5 years, 16,000 Nigerian doctors have left Nigeria. We now have only 55,000 doctors for over 220 million people. That's not just a crisis, it's a death sentence for millions of Nigerian children, women, and men. And who can blame them for leaving? A Nigerian doctor earns 250,000 naira a month, which is less than $200. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, a doctor earns more than the equivalent of 40 million naira a year. But this isn't just about money, it's about dignity. Imagine working in a hospital with no electricity, where ventilators are useless because there's no oxygen, where you have to buy your own gloves and syringes just to treat patients. Imagine watching a patient die, not because you lack the skills, but because the hospitals lack the tools. And when doctors demand better, they are called unpatriotic. But what's patriotic about asking them to work in inhumane conditions while politicians fly abroad for checkups? This isn't just a problem for doctors, it's a disaster for all of us. Nigeria has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. 1 in 22 women die from childbirth. Our life expectancy is just 53 years, one of the lowest across the world. People are dying from treatable diseases, not because we don't have the cure, but because we don't have the doctors to administer it. Meanwhile, the same leaders refusing to fix our hospitals. They don't even trust them. They fly to London, Dubai, and America for care. And they say, and they expect you to trust the system they abandoned. This isn't just a problem for doctors, it's a disaster for all of us. But here's the thing, we can fix this. We must pay doctors better, not as charity, but as an investment in our very survival. We must improve hospital conditions, provide stable electricity, modern equipment, and enough medical staff. We must give doctors a reason to stay. Housing support, career opportunities, scholarships for specialized training, because a country that does not value its doctors does not value its people. If the lives of its people mattered, we would act now. If we don't act now, the Jackpot wave will only grow stronger, crashing into the country like a tsunami. The suffering will continue, and we will have a chance by demanding better, by treating healthcare as the life or death priority it truly is. Good morning, Nigerians.
It's good to have you back after that thought-provoking Which Way Nigeria. Let's talk about kidnapping. Now, kidnapping has become a rampant and lucrative business in Nigeria, with the country overtaking global hotspots like Colombia and Mexico as the capital of kidnapping for ransom. The alarming rate of kidnappings has left many Nigerians living in fear, and the government is under pressure to take decisive action. Just recently, Prince Eniola Ojajuni, the national president of the Afenifere Youth Council, was kidnapped, and a ransom of 100 million naira was demanded for his release. In a viral video, Ojajuni pleaded for his life, highlighting the desperation and fear that many kidnapping victims and their families face.
Now, here's what you should know. The Nigerian Senate has passed a bill prescribing, at least a 15-year jail term for whoever pays ransom to free kidnapped victims. The Edo State Assembly has passed a bill approving death sentences for kidnapping offenders. Other states like Rivers, Oyo, and Lagos have also enacted anti-kidnapping laws with severe penalties, including death sentence and life imprisonment. Governors of the 6 southwest states have resolved to set up a joint surveillance monitoring team to coordinate security efforts across the region in the fight against banditry and other criminal activities. Will all of this be enough to curb kidnappers? Now, join us in the studio this morning is Ojoba Michael, a security expert, who will be discussing the way forward in addressing the rising state of kidnapping in Nigeria and exploring possible solutions. Now, let's get straight to the conversation. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good to have me here.
Now, let's start with this, the genesis of kidnapping in Nigeria, because I recall growing up, it wasn't even part of our social-political lexicon. But now it seems it's a real current theme. Every other day there's a kidnapping here or there. How did this come about?
I know the society itself is the fallout of the society. As you said earlier on, when you were growing up, there's nothing like that. That is to tell you that we have lost our value system as a nation. And that is the key. There is this fear of God while growing up. Whatever we're doing, we're conscious of who we are, where we come from. You say, remember the son of who you are. But today, nobody thinks about anything than money, money, money. Everybody wants to make it, everybody wants to have money. And the rate of unemployment and idleness within our society also, everybody shine all their attention toward the fastest way of making money. Armed robbery was wide in vogue when we were growing up. Armed robbery graduated. There was a time also cyber crime also was involved. Later, Boko Haram. So at every certain time, there's always a particular crime that trends, because young people will always channel their energy toward the crime that will suit them. And these days, it seems kidnapping is extremely lucrative. It has become a cartel. Just that we have in the drug cartel also, where people come together, have a serious coordinated group. There's people in charge of finance, there's people in charge of execution, there's people in charge of procurement. So with this coordination, it has made kidnapping very, very easy. And we look at, we bleed as a nation because people are really crying. It's so painful if you have a family member or a relative that is a victim of kidnapping. It's so painful.
It's really sad. I mean, we did see the Afenifere spokesperson there, of course, talking about the youth representative who has been kidnapped. And 100 million naira, heart-wrenching video. I mean, the guns were being, pointed at him. He was asking for money, as you can see right there. And they said they gave him till 3 p.m. on Monday.
They extended it to today.
So now they extended it to Wednesday. 100 million naira. One of the questions I have to ask, and I don't know if there's any response from security operatives, or better still, people responsible for reviewing these issues regularly, apart in the federal government and also outside, like investigators, or private firms. How is it possible that monies are wired through banks to pay for ransom, and we have BVN and we have NIN, and yet you are not able, I can see you're smiling already, we're not able to track these accounts? Is it that there's something? Now, I also recall that just a few months back, the NCC celebrated that they had installed equipment that could be able to monitor, even transactions made to even the Palasa phones. Let's bring it down locally, the Palasa phones. And they were happy that this would curb the rate of kidnapping. Are we taking 10 steps forward and 50 steps backwards, or what?
The simple truth is we seem to deceive ourselves, and until when we come into the reality of the type of society we want, the legacy we want to leave behind, that is when we can be able to get things right. We're talking about wiring of money. Kidnappers don't collect transfer, they collect cash. How does the politician move 1 billion naira from one account to the other account and move cash to his house? The same way somebody will move money from one place to go and give to a kidnapper. So the whole system is our value system. The whole system is our country as a whole. We only have institution on paper. We don't have institution that is working. There's national ID cards. How is it functioning? Kidnapper too has our national ID cards. Our database as a nation, who and who know who is who?
There's fight around that as well,
Within the security agency, there's every day you see army and police, the road safety and civil defense. There is no coordination as a nation. See, when we all come into the round table and tell ourselves the simple truth, corruption, kidnapping, banditry, everything, they are still circled into a nationhood, which we have not determined the type of nation, the type of legacy we want to leave behind. Okay. So we need to go back to the drawing board.
Now, going back to the drawing board, you mentioned that kidnapping has become a very lucrative business. That's why people are still in it. And there are reports that ransom payments is actually fueling for the kidnapping. The senators, I think they try to outlaw the payment of ransom payment. And then the reason why this kidnappings also go on is because of lack of consequences. Now, the Edo State government is proposing a death sentence. So how do you balance the need to secure the release of your relatives or victims while discouraging ransom payments that empower some of these kidnappers? It's a very delicate balance.
A House of Assembly member in Anambra State was kidnapped. 200 million were paid. They killed him. There was outcry, hey, the governor came out, we're going to do that. Do you hear any noise again? That one has passed. The state government is coming out, okay, there's going to be death sentence. All the people that have been in death row in Nigeria in the past 20 years, how many of them have they killed? Evans did his own. Evans now is seeking for plea bargain. So we are not serious as a nation. Until we have, it's not just a paperwork, we will do this, we will do that.
What will stop kidnapping?
Death sentence is a good one.
Death sentence
is a good one.
Rather than,
but the death sentence is the judiciary prepared to allow it to work. That's why you see the Human Rights Committee will come again. So it is the working of the system. For you to put a death sentence for a kidnapper, okay, Lagos they put 21 years some time ago. Later they reduced it to 15 years. That was the same time Evans was champion.
Some of these governors are actually afraid of signing the death warrant. They don't want spirits to come and disturb them in the night.
But the kidnapper keep people at a go.
It's a conversation I think we cannot finish in one sitting. But then again, I think we need to have you back. Let's itemize these issues, break it down into bits and pieces, and then find maybe there could be a solution somewhere. Maybe
we can only just advise our people. Safety conscious is key. Your personal safety is something that we should be able to push in as a nation from childhood. Let's start telling our children safety conscious and security measures that need to be put in place. We all know that Kogi and Ondo State are red flag. People should be able to be careful of passing that road.
Okay.
At least for now, people should be careful. Then we look at, okay, as individual, either your physical or spiritual safety also should be put in place. So those are things that can easily help you out.
How about people that are spraying money on social media? Lifestyle.
That's their own personal enjoyment.
So many. Thank you so much, Jabaro, for joining us to highlight this major challenge. It's a conversation that we would like to continue off air, especially on social media. So make sure you follow us. It's been a fantastic show on a Wednesday morning. I am Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Borough. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.